Hi, I'm Tonya G. Tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Tonya G Show. Let's talk health, politics, business, and more. Interested in being a guest? Email us at viralstreamtv.com. Streaming live on Viral Stream TV on YouTube, powered by the KPG Agency. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1. Hello and welcome to the Tonya G Show. Today my guest is Carol BLACKMON, Mississippi Coordinator for Black Voters Matter. Her work is conducted statewide with organizational partners and allies to promote expanded democracy in the Black community. Thank you for joining me today, Ms. BLACKMON.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So tell us what does it mean to expand democracy in the Black community?
Well, what it means is we are about the business of getting Black people registered to vote when they're not, those who are that are infrequent voters to get them to the polls, to provide resources that are needed to help people be able to take advantage of the privilege of voting in this country and in this state.
What do some of those resources look like?
Well, we provide voter education on issues, on candidates. We provide voter mobilization so that we have what we call the Blackest Bus in America, which actually helps folk to feel good about themselves, feel proud about being Black. That helps to mobilize people to the polls. We also provide supplies, materials, and training. There are new tools that are available, tools related to text messaging, campaigns, virtual canvassing, as well as phone banking, and a number of other activities that we do in collaboration with our partners. We ourselves don't have the capacity to do all of this work on our own.
Right.
So we identify partners in community where we're located to help us to get that work done. Folk who are already in those communities and are about the business of ensuring that African American people are registered, are voting, and then in terms of census are being counted.
Got you. Can you kind of give us some background on how many people you've registered just this year on voting?
Well, Tonya, I wish I could do that. We have roughly 20 partners in the state of Mississippi, and our partners do the voter registration work.
Gotcha.
We don't do that work ourselves. We actually provide resources to them to help them to expand their legs on the ground when they need to hire people to help drive folk to the polls, or if they need people who are going door to door when that is safe.
Right.
Unlike right now.
Right.
We have door hangers that people are able to leave on doors during this time of the pandemic, but they don't have to have face-to contact with the residents in those homes. So we provide those mini grants to help our partners to do the work that they do.
Good job. Good. It's so needed. It's so needed.
Thank
you.
So
tell us, you've been the coordinator for 3 years for the Mississippi branch of Black Voters Matter. Talk about how and why this was organized.
Okay. Well, things always occur in ways that we don't anticipate.
Indeed.
I received a phone call from one of the actual co-founders saying to me back in August of 2018 that they were planning a Mississippi Rising tour with the Black Voters Matter bus. Little did they tell me that this bus was all swagged out and wrapped with all of the Black Voters Matter memorabilia and everything on it.
Right.
So they called and asked me if I would help them plan a meeting to the Mississippi Delta and to actually identify a site where that meeting could take place there. And I did it, and apparently I did a pretty good job because following that visit to the Delta where we had more than 75 people attend a luncheon session at the Mississippi Action for Community Education building that is commonly known as MACE. With a number of community leaders, I was offered the position on a contractual basis to be the Mississippi coordinator, which was absolutely flattering for me because I never anticipated that planning that one meeting would lead to something
greater.
Something greater that really fits with my lifelong dream to help bring about change in our community.
That's a beautiful blessing. So let's talk about this virtual tour bus. You address issues that Black Americans face with an emphasis on voting, ensuring that all voters have equal rights and access to a free and fair election process. We're going to go to a little break here in a minute, and then I want you to kind of talk about the virtual tour bus and what you did before COVID and how things have changed, since COVID. But we are going to go to a little break here. Don't forget, we are live streaming on YouTube at Viral Stream TV. So share the live stream with your family and friends outside of the Jackson metro area. We have our stuff here. If you are watching live, contact the KPG agency for all your final expenses needs. And we will be right back after this break.
Y'all keep it locked. It's BDAY 99.1.
Looking for a new career that offers flexibility and endless earning potential? Explore a career in final expense. No experience necessary, health insurance benefits, residual income, and more. Now hiring agency managers and agents. Visit thekpgagency.com or call 601-500-2751 to get started today.
Here at the law firm's Marquise Rose, we can handle your case, whether that's in the area of personal injury or criminal defense. Give us a call at 601-709-3585 or visit us on the web at marquiserose.com. I'm ready to go to work for you. No gimmicks, just results.
Keep your hairstyle lit in 2020 with Lit Rick the Barber. Hairstyles, design, beard sculpting, and more. Book an appointment today with Lit Rick the Barber at 601-502-5581 or go see him at 5643 Highway 18, Suite B at Echelon Beauty and Barber Hair Studios.
COVID has shown us life is not promised. It does not discriminate against race, gender, or age. Do you have life insurance coverage to protect you and your loved ones? Visit thekpgagency.com or call 601-500-2751 to start your policy today. Streaming live on Viral Stream TV on YouTube, powered by the KPG Agency. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1.
You're watching Viral Stream TV.
Okay, here we are. We are back live with my guest, Ms. Carol Blackmon, coordinator for Black Voters Matter. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Blackmon. Let's talk about that virtual tour bus.
Oh, yeah. Ordinarily, we have the bus, right? It's a big black bus.
Yes.
And what we've been doing since COVID is hosting a number of virtual town hall tours. We actually hosted one here in Mississippi back in July. On July 9th, as a matter of fact. So we brought a number of our partners to the table who wanted to share the work that they're doing across the state in regards to policies that are being adopted by the state legislature and other issues around how do we really get out the vote during a time like this.
Right.
So we hosted a webinar via Zoom and Facebook Live. And so since it is Mississippi, we also wanted to include a little bit of culture. So we brought on the blues man, Bobby Rush, the Grammy Award winning blues man, to actually share some of that with our audience who were people from across the country. Actually, there were a number of Mississippians, but there were folk who were in attendance across the country. Black Voters Matter is not only doing that in Mississippi, we did it in all of our 10 states. Mm-hmm. The coordinators arranged in partnership with their partners to have that happen, and it gave us an opportunity to share the work that we do, but also to share the work of our partners.
How is this going to affect us, with COVID amongst us in terms of people getting to the polls? How is that going to shape this election?
I think that's still left to be seen in a number of ways. It's a challenge across the country. In Mississippi, the Secretary of State worked with the legislature to introduce legislation related to absentee voting in 2020, simply because of COVID and what it has done and what it is doing in the state and the impact that it has. And so as a result, residents who are fearful of being impacted by COVID during in-person contact at the polls can actually vote absentee this year.
So is that part of the process too? You're getting a lot of people to kind of do the absentee ballots so that we don't have that problem of standing in line?
Well, what we're trying to do is get the word out so that people know what is going on. I was on the phone on yesterday with Circuit Clerk Zach Wallace here in Hinds County, and each county has circuit clerks, of course, but Circuit Clerk Wallace was talking about the fact that they have in Hinds County designated a week, the week of September 21st through the 25th, to try and mobilize numbers of folk to come down and vote absentee ballot, which I think is really magnanimous on his part.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, in your opinion, why do you think that Black people don't get out and vote like we should?
Well, I think there's the issue of voter apathy, where some of us feel that our vote doesn't count, or we feel that it doesn't matter if we vote anyway. And in reference to the my vote doesn't count, I think I heard last week where Trump only won a number of precincts by 2 votes. So say, for example, if my husband and I, or my son and I, or my daughter and I didn't go, we could have been those 2 losing votes to a candidate who we didn't necessarily want to see become the victor in any race. And so then there's the voter suppression issues.
Right.
And voter suppression happens in many ways, including voter IDs and the prevalence of voter fraud charges. And every time I mention that, I'm reminded of the issue in Madison County, or the situation in Madison County, where a number of folk were charged with voter fraud back in 2018, and that there was even a young woman who ended up going to prison with a 15-year conviction with 12 years to serve.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't even find her guilty of voter fraud itself, but she was charged with witness intimidation, where a witness actually said, "She didn't intimidate me. I knew her. I know her." She said, "Tell them the truth. Don't just tell them anything that they want to hear. Tell them the truth." And then this woman ended up in prison, separated from her 11-year-old daughter, who is now being raised by her elderly mother.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to be right back. Don't forget to watch us streaming live on YouTube at Viral Stream TV, powered by the KPG Agency. We help people with insurance. We'll be right back.
Y'all keep it locked. It's BDAY 99.1.
Hi, I'm Tonya Gray with your Insurance Minute. Life insurance comes in many forms, but it helps to first understand the 2 major types: term life insurance and permanent life insurance. Term life insurance covers the policyholder only for a predetermined amount of time, known as the policy's term. Terms typically last from 5 years up to 40 years, and insurance companies will only pay a death benefit if the policyholder dies within the limits of the term. On average, term policies are the most affordable type of life insurance on the market. Permanent life insurance stays in force for your entire life as long as your premiums are paid on time and in full. Unlike term life insurance, it builds tax-deferred cash value over time. A portion of the premium payments is designated for the cash value component. Value can build over time and at different rates depending on the type of permanent policy you have. Contact the KPG agency to find out more and start your policy today.
You're watching Viral Stream TV.
And we are back with our guest, Carol Blackmon, Mississippi Coordinator for Black Voters Matter. We were speaking about just voter suppression and different issues that affect the black vote. Do you think gerrymandering at all plays a factor into that as well?
I think gerrymandering plays a huge fact into what happens across the state with different types of election. For example, there was one case, one Senate district in the Mississippi Delta that was actually drawn in such a fashion that it increased the number of white voters in that district and decreased the number of black voters. It was actually drawn so that a white candidate could run and win in that district. And the court saw fit to actually have that district redrawn. And now there's an African American who is the senator from that district, which is absolutely amazing because he was in that Senate seat before it was drawn the way that it was finally redrawn during this gerrymandering process. And also there's the issue around the number of folk who are being purged from the voting rolls, and that happens for a number of reasons. If people don't vote in consecutive elections, sometimes it happens. If they miss jury duty summons, sometimes they are eliminated from the voting rolls.
Really?
And in addition to that, for certain crimes in this state, their voting rights are no longer available to them. So in this country,
a number of reasons that affect the vote. Yeah, I want to talk about that because some of the work you do includes expanding early voting, resisting voter ID, reentry restoration of rights, and strengthening the Voting Rights Act. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Black Voters Matter partners with a number of different organizations. For example, in Alabama and Georgia, right now, Black Voters Matter is engaged in lawsuits challenging the absentee balloting that is taking place in those two states. We participated in a lawsuit challenging the state of Georgia to force people who want to vote absentee or mail-in to have to purchase their own stamps to do so. A number of states and counties provide prepaid postage envelopes for that purpose. So it's challenging. I've done a bit of reading in this country. We seem to look for opportunities to eliminate the voting rights of our citizens in ways that other countries are not engaged.
Right. That is terrible. We face so many obstacles. Ms. Blackmon, why do you think we don't have a black person in a statewide elected office position here in Mississippi?
Well, in addition to the gerrymandering issues that we talked about, there is something that's required in the state of Mississippi. Say, for example, if I were to run for lieutenant governor and I received the popular vote, meaning the majority vote across the state. Well, in addition to that, I would also have to receive the majority of the House of Representative district votes.
Okay.
Meaning that of the 122 districts in the House of Mississippi, I would have to have a majority of those that I have won as well. And if that is not the case, then the decision would go to the House of Representatives to actually take a vote on whether or not I should be seated for that position.
Unbelievable. Boy, we just can't win, can we? We just cannot win. Another question I have here, let's talk about upcoming deadlines and ballot initiatives. Talk about what's going on and where we are on deadlines.
Okay. Excuse me. The deadline for voter registration for the November 3rd general election is October 5th. So people who are not registered, or even folk who have questions about the status of their registration, should get that fixed before October 5th. Absentee ballots will be available starting September 21st. There are some changes to the absentee balloting process this year. One of those being that ballots that are received up to 5 days after.
Hold that thought, Ms. Blackmon.
Okay.
I want you to continue with that.
Okay.
Don't forget, we are live streaming on YouTube at Viral Stream TV. Share the live stream link with your family and friends outside of the Jackson metro area. Again, that's the Viral Stream TV on YouTube.
BDAY 99.1. Black Voters Matter brings to you the We Got Power campaign and Outreach Caravan Tour with our Love and Power Train. Our goal is to get as many black voters as possible to vote early for this election cycle. Know your status. And once you find out your status, take the 5 Friends Pledge, commit 5 of your friends, register them, and encourage them to vote as well. Want to find out more? Text We Matter to 797979 right now. Or check us out on all our social media platforms. That's BLACKVOTERSMTR. And our website, blackvotersmatterfund.org.
Looking for a new career that offers flexibility and endless earning potential? Explore a career in final expense. No experience necessary, health insurance benefits, residual income, and more. Now hiring agency managers and agents. Visit thekpgagency.com or call 601-500-2751 to get started today. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1.
Viral Stream TV.
Yes, we are back live with Ms. Carol Blackmon, Mississippi Coordinator for Black Voters Matter. You were saying, Ms. Blackmon, there were some things that have changed on the ballots. Go ahead with that point.
Yes, some things that have changed in regards to the general election for this year. And one of those things is with the new absentee balloting law that took effect July 1st that we were talking about earlier, mail-in ballots can be counted up to, if they're received up to 5 days after the general election date, which is a change. And the second change is related to who can request those ballots for a voter. And now that becomes a family member, not a third-party person.
So it has to be somebody in your family. It can't be anybody outside of that. Okay. Tell me your thoughts on President Trump telling voters to vote twice.
I think it's illegal. I think
that's a felony.
Yeah,
right?
I think people could get in big trouble for that. When I heard it, my heart was broken. It just took me back to the time when earlier in the pandemic discussions when our president advised people to drink bleach and other what I consider poisonous substances to try and eliminate the disease.
Right.
I think something is badly wrong with recommending these kinds of actions to Americans.
Exactly. So, well, what are your thoughts on the presidential nominees, Biden and Trump? Do you feel that Biden would do a better job? I mean, what are your thoughts on the two candidates?
Well, my thinking is that Biden fully understands the process, the governmental process, that he fully understands the legislative process. And so I would anticipate that he would lead the country based on the Constitution of this country. And it just seems from one day to the next, we never know what to expect from our current president. starting out in the campaign for the presidential 2020 election, neither of them were the people who I would want to see running for this seat right now. But I think that Biden would keep us more in line with the way that the country and that the founding fathers of this country intended us to have government operate.
So what do you say to a voter who does not want either candidate, but the messaging is you need to vote, and we need to choose the lesser of two evils? Well, when you say that, you're still choosing someone evil. So what do you say to people who there is no presidential candidate for them? How do you encourage them to vote?
Well, what I try to do personally is to ensure for them, like in other situations, even on jobs sometimes, this is not your ideal job. This is not the job that you would really want, or it doesn't fit your training. Mm-hmm. So I talk to them in that way about the election as well. Okay.
On your website, you have a link for the 2020 census. Talk to us about how important it is to complete the census as well as voting.
Well, the census is extremely important, and I think there are always indications of the value, the real value of certain issues, like voting. You get it taken away from you for most anything, so know it's got to be a hot button.
Right.
So with census, the only way that appropriations from the federal government comes to states and cities and towns and counties is if the residents in those areas are being counted. It in my mind, it's not like they don't know that we're here.
Right.
Because they know we file taxes.
There is statistical data, so you already have.
There is lots of other statistical data.
Yes.
But to actually certify your number as part of that, you have to be counted. Otherwise, your appropriation does not come to your state or to your county or your city. When you talk about the potholes in the street.
Oh, yes.
When we talk about the lack of school funding, when we talk about the lack of affordable housing for people in community,
right.
When we talk about any number of other things that receive governmental support, if we're not counted, the amount of those resources go down for your community. And they don't need that to figure out where you are if they want to find you.
You better say that.
Yeah.
Ms. BLACKMON, I have enjoyed you. You have got to come back because this has just been very informative. Thank you so much for stopping by. I would like to thank Ms. BLACKMON for stopping by today. For more information on the Black Voters Matter, you can reach her at 601-940-6245 or visit the website at Black Voters Matters Fund. I'm going to say that again, blackvotersmatterfund.org. I would like to shout out D. Scott for Real Music for providing the music for the show. I also like to shout out my makeup artist, Nia Whistling. She hooked up this face, y'all. Y'all see it if you're watching on Viral Stream TV. Don't forget to contact the KPG agency for all your final expense needs. My tongue is incredibly heavy today. Let's get those policies in order, you guys. It is so important that we get our final expenses in order. And if you're watching on Viral Stream, you see here the Black Voters Matter. Your vote does matter. Please get out and vote. Also, complete your census. We'll see you next time. Bob knows it's never too early for a final expense policy to protect his son. Sue made sure that all their final expense policies are in place. Helen's final expense policy guarantees she won't be a burden to her daughter. Jane's mother's final expense policy covered her final arrangements and so much more. Your final expense policy can cover funeral services, medical bills, debt, and provide cash security. And there are no medical exams required. Call the KPG agency at 601-500-2751 line to set up your policy today. Hi, I'm Tonya G. Tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Tonya G Show. Let's talk health, politics, business, and more. Interested in being a guest? Email us at viralstreamtv.com. Streaming live on Viral Stream TV on YouTube, powered by the KPG agency. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1.